Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us, and welcome to Firing Range, a podcast to talk about all things Destiny, weapons, abilities, loadouts, the sandbox at large, and Drew's hair. All of those
No.
wonderful topics.
Not my hair.
Episode.
The most important things.
Yeah, the most important things in the game, obviously. We got that quarantine hair rocking. For those of you with us for the live recording on Twitch, we appreciate you being here. But for those of you listening at home, just imagine a young, suave-looking beetle with that hair, dark, lush, and, they're cracked on the sticks. That's just what Drew is. So I can't really describe it any better than that. But thank you for joining us for another wonderfully improv intro and another episode of Firing Range, where we have plenty to talk about because now we are knee-deep in Season 11. Boys, how are you finding the season so far? Cammy, why don't we start with you?
I'll start and say that the dungeon was awesome.
Oh, that dungeon was
They
sick.
always do a good job with the dungeon, but they one-upped it again.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway. Dungeon was cool. How
Has
about you
anyone
guys?
here solo flawless the dungeon yet?
I haven't
No,
said
no
that
one?
there, so just tell me all about it.
Have you
I've
not
done a
played
lot
the
more
dungeon yet?
farming.
Yeah,
What's
I
that?
still need to farm weapons. I feel like if I solo it, I'm
Yeah.
gonna ruin my loot pool.
Yeah, there's definitely some good gear to be grabbed there for sure.
We should talk about that though. Farming the gear in the dungeon. I know
We can
Cam's
start
run
off
me
with
for a
that.
little bit. Yeah, so for those that don't know, the dungeon is an activity that drops new specific weapons that have now been reprised. I think many of them, including some of the Aculos weapons, some other weapons as well, like Widow's Bite was one I was after. And it has an interesting loophole because it allows you to, upon completion, you can do it again and still get drops for every segment of the dungeon. So
Sure.
it's effectively farmable.
Yeah.
And I think the weapons are pretty well worth it in many ways. And I was going to say, I really want to solo flawless it, and I have my strategy and everything, and I pretty much have it set out in my head how I'm going to do it, but I haven't done it yet, only because I have spent more time farming the dungeon than I actually have trying to solo it. And that's because it's similar to the trials scenario that we had, where when you do farm the dungeon, it only gives you what you've gotten already. So if I were to go for solo flawless or like effectively not farm it last week, I would have less chance of getting the sniper I want, because I could have another item end up in my loot pool for the first boss. as an
I
example.
actually did not know that. So what you're telling me is if you go through the dungeon for the first time and you get those unique weapon drops for completing every encounter, that is your weapon loot pool for the dungeon. So
Yeah,
you can
think of it like
expand
that.
the
Yeah,
loot
more or
pool
less.
by. So you can expand the loot pool by completing the dungeon again, either on another character or doing it again on another week. But if you ran through the first time on one character, you got a Widow's Bite sniper, you could just keep doing it again, and you're guaranteed to keep getting that. Oh, that's interesting.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha. I was not aware of that.
So I would love to attempt the solo, but gotta get this loot before it goes away.
Well, this is a good topic to start on. What weapons in a perfect world are you hunting for in the dungeon, and why?
I'd like to hear this from Drew, because he convinced me on the snipe.
So a long time ago, we had on a previous episode, we had a discussion like, what is your perfect sniper? I forget specifically what I said. I think I would say is 140 RPM. Firmly planted is one of the perks, and then I said I think either opening shot or quick draw. Funny enough, this sniper, Widow's Bite, has returned as a 140 RPM, my favorite archetype, with firmly planted and opening shot. So that came from the first boss, and luckily, if you were effective at farming the first boss, you could get a drop every 3 minutes. I want to say 2.5 to 3 minutes. It was incredibly efficient. So I literally just did that. I think I had like 3 8-hour streams of me just doing that with some viewers, and I did get the sniper I wanted. So yeah, so that's the weapon for me.
Were you picky with the other nodes, like the mag and masterwork, or you just straight perk, call it good?
Yeah, I was pretty picky. I wanted max handling. I didn't really care much about the magazines, so like accurized rounds, or I think I got flared mag. Well, I wasn't too concerned with that, but it had to be max handling, 4 to 5, like Arrowhead or fluted.
Yeah.
Handling masterwork. Firmly planted opening shot.
I love that slang for the record. 4 out of 5 or like a 5/5 roll. For those who might be unfamiliar, you get a really dank weapon drop. You kind of plan out on paper ahead of time, oh, these are the perks I'm hunting for. And sometimes RNG can get you right there to the 1 yard line, but not quite for the touchdown. But whatever, you'll take it, because what are you going to do? Grind for like 12 more hours? Some of us can do that and sink that time in, because we're fortunate enough to play this game, for a living, most of us. But, some people, they just don't have that kind of time, so F it. You take the 4 out of 5 sniper, the 4 out of 5 shotgun, good enough. It'll be totally fine to perform well with in PvP or for whatever, so.
I feel like I get called out like that. The only
I'm not naming
non-full-time
names here,
content creator out of the 5 of us.
Well, you got to work at Bungie for a while, so
That
you
is
get to
true.
hold that over all of us, right?
That is true. And I'm happy with the 4 out of 5 rolls 90% of the time. So
Good
Same.
man, good man. So, Drew, are there more weapons that you're hunting for in the dungeon, or was it kind of like the one and done with that sniper, and now you're out?
The sniper was the main one. Beyond that, I think it was the SMG is kind of cool. Again, I'm not like gung ho on it, but the SMG's got some cool PvE and PvP rules, and the Aikilo shotgun for what's it called, for PvE, of course, and the future, or its duration in the sun before being sunset.
This is a totally unrelated question, but how keen are you on the idea of reacquiring a shotgun? Not only because you can do it again for right now, but you want to get a new one to. Well, actually, wait a minute. Is the Aiklos shotgun that is dropping now, is that going to last longer in the sunsetting department than the? By how many more seasons? Like 1, 2? Do we know?
Then the what?
Than the old Aiklos shotgun.
Then the original? Okay,
Yeah,
the old one lasts 1 more season. The new one lasts 1 year.
it lasts till season 15.
Yeah, the
Till season
1360
15.
rolls, right?
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to check what the time duration was, but this is totally off topic. We could get to this later, but is anyone here wild about the idea of refarming guns that we already have, but like you have to farm a new version of one just to make sure it stays alive longer in the sunsetting game?
Only if
That's
there's
one of the
new
biggest
perks.
criticisms.
Like if they're bringing in new perks like they did this season, like Killing Wind and Relentless and stuff. or
No.
Unrelenting,
But Fallout said exact same, and that happened to
Then
me
no.
multiple times where I was like, I already like this for PvE. I want these exact same rolls, and it happens to roll on the exact same gun.
Yep.
Nope.
Yeah, but I've also noticed they've done a lot of RNG curbing and allowing you to pick your loot and limit your loot pool and that sort of thing. So it's kind of painless. I did the math on what it would take to get, for example, a Gnawing Hunger, and this system's pretty good. It does sting to reacquire the same thing, but in the time it takes to acquire something you'll use your 4 out of 5s,
Yeah.
you still get them for a whole year, and it's very minimal effort to get them. So, I mean, I'm kind of surprised.
It feels like a hoop to jump through, right? It's like signing paperwork. Like it's not really that bad, but you still have to do it if you want it to last longer. So yeah,
That's a perfect analogy. Yeah, it feels like, signing paperwork just to play the content.
we talked about it, and when we talked about sunsetting, where like the only way it was going to be okay is if they made it not super painful to get the guns. And I think they've done a pretty good job of making it not super painful. So, I'm not like filled with rage that I have to regrind a gun. I'm just more just like a long sigh and then do it, right?
Yeah, I'm still hopeful they expand upon the system, right? They've already set some pretty good ideas out in motion. But for example, let's say a solo dungeon clear or something. Maybe that gets you closer to the roll. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would actually be pretty cool.
Quite
I
odd.
do. Oh, go on.
After even the first week of trials, right? I was playing with Fallout. We got the gear from the Flawless chest, and I noticed immediately, okay, the arms have the arrival symbol. The weapons still have the Warmind symbol. It's like, okay, trials is supposed to last for a year, and literally a week before, right? So say I have some nice gloves. They're 67 stat. They are the trials arms, right? They're the trials gauntlets. Well, the ones that came out this week, same exact gloves, same exact everything, but they go to 1360. They're the full year. And the Warmind weapons, or the regular Trials weapons, have the Warmind, and they're 1310. So they're less than that. It's just weird how it all works out. at least from what I found. And reacquiring some of them is kind of tough. Like you were talking about gnawing hunger. Well, like yeah, you know, it's gonna be good for a year, but they've already talked about adjusting 600s again, right? So it's just all kind of weird to me.
But to me, it was kind of a PvE workhorse before the buff even, so that's why I wanted it.
Word.
It was, you know, extended recluse is what I called it. But anyhow, the answer to me has been raid gear. And
Raid
we had a
gear.
little bit of a scare at the start of the expansion where the raid gear did not update its light
Yes.
level that it was supposed to be at. And so I was like, did we really just grind for months just to have this thrown away when they told us?
I remember
no.
a very passionate tweet from Drew, straight out of the pages of a diary. He's like, "Man, are you telling me we did all that work? Did we like misread something in the TWAB? 'Cause they did
Dude.
so much last wish farming."
I was so scared, man. I was like, dude, did I just like, you know how many nights or like times where I'd stayed up? Like, I'm like, dude, I really don't want to stay up. I'm like, let's do these raids because I know it's gonna save me time in the future. And I was like, when I saw
Yeah.
that, I was like, please don't tell me. Please don't tell me I missed
Time it is saved,
something.
my
Or
man. Like,
they changed their mind with something because I don't know. This whole process for sunsetting has been almost. I just personally feel like there's been a lot of like clear explanation kind of missing. Like we got it in the director's cut, the idea of it, but I don't feel like there's been like a TWAB or something like really like full on explaining. I know we got like kind of part of a TWAB, but like we still don't know what's happening with the partner weapons, like Mini Tool and Drang. Like I
Yeah.
feel like there's so many open questions that just weren't answered that I'd love to be answered. So when I tweeted that, I was like, dude, it's either I'm greatly mistaken on something and not understanding something, or someone changed their mind and we just don't know about it. So
Yeah, we need another one of those moments where someone from the community goes on live to like do an interview with Luke Smith. You know, that meme of like Dado holding up the stack of papers and
Right.
like pointing. We got to get Drew in there with like a stack of papers for the the whole interview on
Sign my
weapon
cone.
sunsetting.
oh my god.
Vouch. But yeah, a lot of new stuff dropping in season 11. We've had plenty of time to kind of get our hands in the dough. Do we have any new guns, or maybe not only new guns, but like improved guns that we're feeling right now, either for PvE or PvP?
let's go, cool guy.
We can talk about Witherhoard. Start off.
Let's talk. Oh, the Witherhoard is great.
Yeah,
Tell the people all
'cause-
about it.
because you know there was mountaintop, there was all these things that we were scared. It's like, okay, this is the best PvE loadout. Like if this is the kind of thing that they're gonna bring in the future, I'm all for it, man. That thing is so fun to use, and I'm pretty sure everyone listening, if you haven't used it yet, it has various uses. I mean, you can stick it on the enemy, beside the enemy, get 2 burn damages going. That damage can, you know, if you use Disruption Break before, you can add, you know, more damage on top of it, and then switch to an Anarchy, or sorry, your friends could be Divinity, and whatever. Like, you just keep stacking. It's a ton of damage. Really, really good. And in PvP, it's kind of annoying, but that's cool. It has a job there.
Yeah, I'm all about that gun. It's one of those rare guns that like not only does it feel well and perform well, it's cool. It's got a really good design. I love the way it looks. I love the way that the rounds hit how they impact the environment and the battlefield. It's very cool to go into a game of either PvE or PvP and see a bunch of blight under your control all over the landscape. I love like hitting an enemy directly and they get that infection and you're like, oh, that guy's done. Like you can give them the old you know, cool guy turn away, you know, you could let him burn out. You don't even have to look at him, bro. It's like you don't watch the explosion, you just walk away. Definitely a really awesome gun. Someone here can absolutely correct me and give more of your opinion on it. I've found that it is much more viable for PvE. I've definitely had some games of PvP where it's been really fun. I wouldn't consider the Witherhoard like super top level viable unless someone has a different experience than me.
I took it into party room on Twilight Gap. Oh my goodness, no one can come in.
Yeah, it forces them to jump, man.
Well, there's nowhere to jump in that room, so that's why. But the first thing I do when I try a new grenade launcher, no matter what, is I look directly in the air and just shoot it and see if it lands. And with Witherhoard, it does. So you can launch airstrikes. Go have fun.
That was something that I remember very vividly when we played together at the beginning of D2, you were very adamant about trying to find angles where the Dawnblade sword would like over the rainbow a dude halfway across the map. You were trying to find these hilarious angles.
It was with the grenade launcher. We were playing Countdown. I'd pick up a a grenade launcher, right? Look up in the air, wait for them to start defusing, and then like 15 seconds later, all the grenades would fall on it.
Yeah. Enemy AC 130. Oh, those were good times.
We had a moment where they wiped the team, then they went for the defuse, then they tied to the nades.
Oh my gosh.
What do they even say in that team chat?
They're like, yeah, we're out, bro. I don't know what just happened. I don't know what just happened. Report them for cheating or something. I don't know what they did, but I don't like it.
I like Witherhoard for PvE because I actually have not gone Anarchy yet. I've been trying and trying and trying to get Anarchy.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's somewhat like Anarchy because it's a weapon you can put down and do like this continuous damage, and then pull out a different weapon and combine it. And so it's kind of like the Anarchy for people like me who haven't been able to get Anarchy. So I like it for PvE for that reason.
Have you been trying to get an Anarchy each week?
Yes. As much as I can, yeah.
You know, I hate to be that guy and pull that card, but like, you know, if you're streaming. And Drew's a pretty good streamer. He does pretty well for himself. Bunch of people watching this guy. You could definitely be like, hey, anyone in chat have a boss checkpoint? I mean, not everyone is fortunate enough to have, you know, friends who would leap forward with a boss checkpoint. But
luckily, I've been playing with a group of friends that are new to Destiny, so I've had the pleasure of like bringing them through all the raids. So
That's cool.
Oh, that sounds like fun. Have they been enjoying it?
To do. Yeah, they have. They've been loving it.
He's been loving watching them get Anarchy.
When we did Skurs, no one got Anarchy, but it's breathed some new life and motivation into the raids for me. So I've just been enjoying doing them. So if I get an Anarchy, I get it. But Witherhoard's my alternate option.
They did buff the drop rate though. You know that, right?
I heard, but what I was told was like apparently it starts after really ramping up after 20 completions. But apparently, it means 20 completions starting post update because and this is someone told me this. I don't know how credible this is.
It is. That's the way it is. Bungie responded. DMG did and said that they looked into making it retroactive, and I guess it was just super complicated.
That's
and
unfortunate.
So yeah,
I do have over 20 completions, so I was thinking like, yeah, I'm just not gonna do it for a while. I'm just gonna stroll in and be like, boom, Anarchy. But that's not quite it.
That was last year.
Yep.
I mean, but if you did, you know, 3 each week, it wouldn't take long before you got there.
True.
That is kind of a lot to ask for, but I mean, but
Exotics aren't sunset. I'm motivated.
There you go.
It is worth bringing up the catalyst for Witherhoard too. Gives it auto-loading holster, like with what you can do with it. You know, it's always getting that tick damage. It's really beneficial to your loadout. So definitely get the catalyst done.
Ooh, podcast relevant. I accidentally used Disruption Break with it on day 1 and was like, this works. So Disruption Break is a perk that if you break their shields, they're more vulnerable to kinetic damage, and Witherhoard is a kinetic grenade launcher. So they get hit even harder when they walk over a tick.
50% more damage.
Wow.
There you
From
go.
base.
So you're telling me that if you fire a Witherhoard on the ground, Joe average steps into that blight pool, takes like 10 damage total. He's only in that pool for half a second. He takes damage. He steps out of the pool. He's now vulnerable to that disruption break.
No,
A lot of the situation is you shoot the Witherhoard at the ground, quick swap to the Drang with Disruption Break, and they will take 1 tick of the Witherhoard, and that'll almost break their shield, but then the Drang will tip it, and then the next tick they die instead of living.
Got it. Well, that's an interesting combo. Yeah, I've been doing what Cool Guy mentioned. I really cranked out that exotic catalyst because it really helps out the extra viability. You don't even need to worry about it. It's like a one and done. You just quickly fire and then swap to whatever gun you got in the backup. So you're instantly trying to put damage on the field, either infecting the person directly or hitting somewhere on the floor nearby. I've been using both the Drang and my full auto Anonymous Autumn. Pretty rock solid combo, I would say. Not like super top tier, but very fun.
Yeah, Now and again, you just throw one at your feet, so all the ads rushing you. Or it's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
More of that, Bungie. Need more of that kind of stuff.
I was scared the catalyst was gonna be martyrdom, where you can like shoot it in your teammate, and then when they die, they drop the blight.
Oh my god, that would be really funny.
Like someone slides in with a shotgun, hits your teammate, and then the blight drops on their body.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Call
that
of
would
Duty
be
all over
funny.
again.
No.
Somebody called Deej. Imagine if you could have a teammate, total sacrificial lamb. You cover him, one teammate covers him with Telesto, the other person gives him the internal blight, and he just runs in like a living bioweapon.
That would be a fun party mode in the Crucible, honestly, with the SPMM gone and whatnot. Just anytime someone dies, they just drop a blight.
That's not a bad idea. Just like a
It's
goofy
fun
party
too.
mode.
So it just keeps going until the whole lobby is just stuck in an endless loop.
Instant respawn. So it's
Oh god, no. They think the game would crash immediately.
Oh, it would. Console would die.
Yeah.
PS4s would just take right off, man.
Yeah.
We got any other guns that we're liking? I can put one out there, but I'm waiting to hear from y'all.
I like all the new auto rifles, man. They got two. Well, I guess they got 2 reprisals and a new one. The forward path is going to be coming back for Iron Banner, which I'm stoked about because it's 600 RPM and it's kinetic, which is great for me. And it's got 2 new perks on it. It's got special Iron Banner perks. They're kind of interesting. I'm gonna have to see how they are in practice. Iron Grip boosts stability by 20, but takes 40 away from your reload speed, which is the biggest penalty I think we've seen in game. And then Iron Gaze gives you plus 20 aim assist, which would give the gun 91 base aim assist, and then it takes away 40 range, which takes the range down to 10.
Now,
So
I've been meaning to talk to you, specifically you, about this. That perk that takes away 40 range. Now, is that some kind of how do I phrase this? Is that one of those numbers that will vary from archetype to archetype if that perk were to exist on more than just that gun? Or is it a hardcore flat 40 no matter what? So if you have a 60 range auto rifle, you get that perk. Was it Iron Gaze, I think?
yeah.
Yeah, and then so no matter what, it drops down to like exactly 20. Is it some kind of scale, or is it like, do we think it's going to be a hard 40 chop on the range every time?
I mean, if it acts like the way all other like numbered perks do, where they give like plus 10, there's a multiplier behind the scenes that each gun has specifically, and it varies usually by class of gun. But generally, it's accurate to within 1 point for every 10 that you go up, right? So I would imagine that even if the multiplier, is active on a gun, it'll take away, 36 aim assist or 36 range instead of 40 range. But I think that as far as estimations go, it'll be a pretty solid estimation. It's actually interesting. So traits are usually what's called a conditional perk, which require you to do something in order to activate the perk, right? And conditional perks don't usually have their stat bonuses listed, right? The only perks that are flat stat bonuses are usually in the barrels, sights, or magazines thing. And so this is one of the first times where we are actually getting perks in the trait slots that are just flat bonuses, like just stat bonus here, stat bonus there, or stat penalty there. Usually everything else, if you look, you can read them. I mean, tap the trigger, Eye of the Storm, multi-kill clip, swashbuckler, feeding frenzy, 4th times the charm, dynamic sway. They're all conditional, right? They activate on either an action or a kill or something along those lines. So it's kind of interesting that they're making this change.
Yeah, I'm reading it right now, and yeah, you get like 10 range with that Iron Gaze. But a little disappointed that you can't go into the negatives because I'm just curious what happens if it stops at 0 or if it keeps going.
Like
imagine
Praetor's
you walk
Revenge.
Negative range on your auto rifle.
walk
Kratos
backwards,
Revenge
it's
in
better.
D1 had negative aim assist with the ambush scope on it at first. I don't know if you guys remember that, but the ambush scope, before they did the scope rebalancing with aim assist, where they like shifted the values, it took away 25 aim assist, and Kratos Revenge would go to negative like 5 aim assist when you put ambush on it.
So what happens there? You put the scope by someone's head, and it's like
And it
putting
pushes
two
away
positive
just a little
magnets
bit.
together.
Yeah, it's just like,
pushes
nope. Yeah.
Nice try. We know you had final round in there.
Yeah.
Final rounder. There is a gentleman in the community. I know y'all know his name. His name escapes me. Please help me remember. The guy who has worked extensively on range. He made a very
Monks.
Thank you, Monks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Look him up on Twitter. Is it MMONX?
Yes.
Correct?
Yep.
Very smart guy. Does a lot of work on range. We should get him on the show at some point. And I was DMing with him about that perk, Iron Gaze. Again, Chad, I think it was your gun will get 20 extra aim assist at the cost of 40 range.
Right.
And he was theorizing that it would be a worthwhile perk overall because, as we all know, we've had this discussion before, range is more beneficial on some weapons and less beneficial on others. Like Bungie went into hand cannons and fiddled with the formula. You know, we all had this discussion where over time we now value hand cannons that have a lot of stability because having a butt ton of range on a hand cannon isn't going to help as much as it would have helped you back in the day. Bungie can go in and tweak how much range can affect a certain weapon type overall. And so right now we're looking at with this new Iron Banner gun, or this returning Iron Banner gun with a new perk. Can you sacrifice the range on that auto rifle? Is it worth it? Is the juice going to be worth the squeeze? And we think that it might. And I'm really looking forward to whenever... I don't think Bungie has confirmed when the first Iron Banner of Season 11 will be. I've been waiting very patiently because I want to get my hands on that gun. But I really think that perk might be worth it.
So it can be, and I don't want to bug out the conversation, but I do want to say this. Range acts as a linear stat, so it's like a slider, right? Like you have a lowest possible range for a gun and then a maximum possible range for a gun. And as you add range stats, you like linearly or very close to linearly move up that slope, basically, right? However, this gun, and part of the reason why I'm so excited about it, has scopes, not barrels, right? So scopes add, to zoom. Zoom has a similar effect that range does. However, it is a scalar as opposed to a linear thing. So if you get a high zoom scope, and Drew obviously will end up talking about cones here, and it has other effects on the cone, right? But if all you care about is range, you can actually probably, we haven't tested yet, but you can probably completely nullify that range penalty by using a high zoom scope.
Right.
And because you're increasing the aim assist, you might still be able to keep your aim assist cone pretty wide as far as it goes, even with the increased zoom, maybe.
This actually segues into something I want to ask you, and that's
In theory.
yeah. Forgive me, like if I totally just misinterpreted what you said, or if I'm repeating anything. But if I have a 45 zoom sniper, so traditionally a bit higher than that of Beloved or even Revoke or Twilight Oath, and I get a low range stat, does that mean technically the sweet spot for the aim assist cone is going to happen sooner despite me having higher zoom, if that makes sense, rather than having higher zoom and higher range? If that makes sense. Because traditionally we've always said low zoom, high range.
So you're saying get higher zoom and lower range?
Yeah.
No, because the effect of zoom is so much more pronounced than the effect of range that even if you get really, really super low range, your zoom even just that additional 0.5 on the zoom is probably going to overcome that, right? And you're still going to end up with, a tighter aim assist cone, if I had to guess. I haven't actually looked at that specifically, and that's a really good point and a really good question to ask, but based on the way that I know range multiplies, I mean, we could probably do the math. I don't think anyone wants us to do the math right now. Maybe we'll do this after the show. But, you could probably do the math because it is literally just multiplicative, right? Like if you have 10 range and then you have a 2x scope, when you zoom in, it functions like 20 range, right? So, or it's a little bit different with field of view and stuff, but it's relatively close to that. So you probably do the math and see where it would end up. But my assumption, my hypothesis would be that the higher zoom would still overcompensate for the lower range.
Got it.
Man, I love when we get lost in the sauce about range and math and cones. If you're listening to this podcast at home, definitely take your mandatory drink of the episode of water, of course, because we did mention cones. Any other guns out now, Season 11, that we're feeling good about?
What do you guys think about the new Pulse?
Cold Denial?
Meta.
I enjoy it.
How does
very
it
much.
stand up to Redrix's?
Redrix is better.
I think
talking
Redrix,
about
Lethality,
Zoom
for
again?
lethality, I would say.
I think that
Cold, my
Redrix
man.
definitely has the higher ceiling potential. Like, of course, because you get the Redrix to activate, you trigger it, and then in the right circumstances, you can just rip through people. But there's still something about the Cold Denial. The high base, the high floor of the weapon, I think it's very good. It has good 2-tapping potential. It's one of the... I mentioned this in a video of mine where I talked about Headseeker. It's one of the few guns in the game that I actually enjoy having Headseeker on, because it's not always going to help you, but it can help you get those 2 shots. And when you land them, it feels pretty good. And the scope is great, that default scope. I think, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, is there no zoom on that scope at all? It just feels
It's lower
It's hand
zoom.
cannon zoom.
So yeah, it's 1.4 times zoom, and the default for Redrix is 1.8. So it's significantly lower zoom than other high impact pulses.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, as soon as I got to use the gun, I felt like I could take in more of the battlefield. Like, you don't have that moment where you're zoomed in way too far, where you're kind of like that jarring experience of looking through a scope that's zoomed in too far. Aim with the Cold Denial, I was like, yes, this is awesome. Like, the kick felt good, the scope felt good. I was getting a bunch of 2-burst kills, I was playing mid-tree Hunter Night Stalker. I was getting so many flawless executions, just like so many, because you just get like the 1 shot, and then, you know, I'm a gambler, F it, I'll just crouch and go for the 2nd shot, you know, and then sometimes you just get the headshot when you crouch, and it's just like, you get a 2-burst, you go camo. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I like it a lot, and I compare it to Redrix because, you know, everyone's going to say that, like, Redrix, of course, has a bunch more lethality. The common criticism of Redrix that I see is that a lot of people will say, at least at, like, higher level PvP, that it doesn't work as well because it feels more unforgiving than a hand cannon. Also because of that zoom, I imagine. So it's harder to kind of, like, track and get 2 bursts or a competitive time to kill with a hand cannon, which most players use. Most of the time, because also people play a lot of really aggressively. And secondly, when you get the perk, people are going to call it out. People are just going to say, like, don't push, like, don't aggress them. They're going to be mindful that you have that perk, and doesn't mean you can't take advantage of it, but those players at a high level are going to be really aware of it. So I think that Cold Denial has a really interesting place. It might not have that, you know, potential lethality, but I do think that it actually does a better job in the neutral game of competing with hand cannons, and as a result, at the high level, is probably better. Because, again, you know, it's not just the field of view of the zoom, but it's the way that, of course, we all know zoom affects, you know, cone discussion here somewhere, but how easy it is, essentially, to get headshots, right? And that, of course, is going to play into the consistency of the weapon as well. I also think that it's interesting that you bring up the flawless execution bit, because high impacts, or a lot of the high impact frames, actually have that inherent perk where if you crouch, you actually get increased accuracy. And that, combined with a low zoom, is like really, really good, as you probably mentioned.
It also has a killer perk set too, man. Perks this season as well. I mean, dynamic sway reduction is phenomenal. I mean, it was good, but it feels really good now. But Killing Wind, dude, Killing Wind, as far as, I mean, even in, I mean, PvE, but definitely in PvP, like, it has a place, dude. I really enjoy Killing Wind, and like, I want it on the pulse.
To tell the people at home all about Killing Wind, because I've had my head in the sand for a lot of things. You know, like the content creators, right? We got schedules. We love to play the game. We got content to work on. I haven't dove super deep into many of the perks that I need to. It's all in due time. But I know for a fact that you've done a lot of work on Killing Wind. I want to hear from you right now. So tell the people at home, what is Killing Wind?
All right, and Drew, have you looked into it?
I've looked a little bit. I do have the perk on a weapon, but I haven't been too keen on using it yet.
So, Killing Wind, final blows grant increased mobility, weapon range, and handling for a short duration. So the handling part, that looks to be to the stat. So, I mean, you get snappy aim down sights. It's almost like you have a snapshot on whatever you're using. So it could be the fusion, could be the AR, could be the pulse. Very snappy. It stows quicker, but the thing about Killing Wind is that when you stow it, it's not like Battle Runner in D1. The perk would stay on the screen, like it goes away. I wish they would change that. But I could understand how, like, imagine having a last word with Killing Wind or something. It would be insane. But weapon range, the crazy part about Killing Wind is you can see it with the AR, and I would assume the pulse and all the other weapons, is that when the perk's on the screen, it literally constricts your tight hair, your crosshairs, right? It makes them tighter. So basically giving you accuracy now, and we can talk with Merc about it. So it says that it's giving range, and it's kind of synonymous. We talk about range and accuracy and aim assist. It's kind of all pulling off that range stat, but it's specifically giving accuracy. That's combined with your mobility, and that appears to be directly to the mobility stat. So it makes you feel like you have max mobility, right? Very straight. It's like moving target, right? You strafe really, really fast. You're getting a huge accuracy bonus. And the snappiness, you just feel very, very fast with it. So something like on a hand cannon or that pulse, that cold denial, I can't imagine on the pulse. I imagine it would be one of the better feeling weapons in the entire game. But if it continues on other weapons in the future and other archetypes, really be on a lookout for it.
I mean, it feels like you get a kill and you get rangefinder, lightweight, and
moving target
and like snapshot, basically.
Yeah.
Like all the same time when you just get a kill. It is extremely noticeable on all the fronts when you have it active, especially on False Promises, which is the auto rifle.
What's the duration of it?
I was just about to ask that. Yeah.
It's 5 and it chains. So if you start the timer, it's on your screen, lasts for 5 seconds. If you get another kill immediately, it starts over at 5 again. Now, in PvE, like if you get like double kills, sometimes it goes to 8, 9, or 10, depending on the enemy. Like it stays up a long time, but it is chainable. Think multi-kill clip, right? Whereas kill clip, it's not going to kind of chain off of itself. Whereas with multi-kill clip, you can get a kill, reload, get a kill, reload. Like it keeps going and resetting the stat. It's always going to be up as long as you're getting kills.
Nice.
But that
Sounds
thing,
like a good Mida catalyst.
that thing is really, really good, man. Like, I was even using it on the Fusion, and like I talked about a Fusion, the Fusion in a video, dude. And that particular Fusion, I do believe you can be very, very aggressive with it. And it's funny because people are like, I mean, who's aggressive with a fusion rifle? Because I know Merc's a huge fusion rifle user. Which, by the way, it doesn't really matter what you use. It's like a lot of people get upset at other weapons. Like it's in the game, man. It is what it is. But that perk on that fusion, man, you fly around and zip around, dude. Like you're able to go inside and out of cover, aim down sights quick. It's fun, dude. Really, really good.
Yeah, it sounds like a hoot. I know it's only available. How many weapons is that perk available on right now? Do we know? Like 4 or 5?
I think it's just the new ones.
Yeah, it's available on all the pyramid focus.
It's on the pyramid. The bow, too. Ones. It's on the bow.
Now, that would be an interesting weapon to test Killing Wind on, the bow. I'm not usually a big bow user outside of the Monarch, but maybe that could be like the key.
What about Trinity Ghoul?
Oh,
all right, you got me. You got me.
We forgot to talk about.
Can you believe we got it buffed? We talked about it, and a week later, they made it better just for us.
That woke me up, man.
Would you say you were woken up inside?
Yeah.
You couldn't wake up? Trinity Gold woke you up?
It's so fun.
It's nuts. It went from middle of the pack, or maybe even below average, to one of the best, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's very
How does
good.
Cool Guy feel about it?
Oh, dude, like, I almost have 1,000 kills with it in the Crucible. I can tell you that.
Hell yeah.
He brought it into trials.
I'll tell you what, while you guys are talking, I'll get you the exact
pulling.
number.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
good.
a lot,
Yeah, look
dude.
at time to flex live on the podcast with your weird bow kills. But he brought it into trials and was popping off with it.
Dude,
that was mad fun.
That was good.
Yeah.
No one's safe.
That's very funny because literally, what was it, like 1 or 2 episodes ago, we were talking about hopes for season 11. I very vividly remember Cool Guy being like, please buff Trinity Ghoul. It's not good. It could be so good. Please buff it.
728.
Yep.
Only 728 right now. This week.
So you're a fraud.
I know. 1,000's the goal. We'll get it by the end of the week. But
I've been using it with Lucky Raspberry, so I can throw arc bolts, and I'll occasionally get in these moments where there's a warlock and a rift getting healed, and I just throw an arc bolt, get it back, throw an arc bolt, get it back, but it kills his teammate. Then it's Trinity Ghoul the floor, and it's sort of like this battle of their health bar. They're like, where are all these arc bolts coming from?
dude, and for clear in PvE, man, like Sunshot's good, the Graviton's good, all these weapons, Risk Runner's good, but when you get that Trinity Ghoul going, man, it will just obliterate an area.
So this is something I was talking with my other co-host about, but he was saying that he still didn't really like Trinity Ghoul a ton, and I was like, you know that if you don't fully draw the bow and you allow the arrows to spread out a little bit more, it will like super ultra charge the lightning that shoots out from between them, and you can cover just a ridiculous amount of ground and electricity when you have it active. So it's like, it's nice. It does more damage to a single target, but if you just aim up a little bit and let 3 arrows float in there and they're spread out, you can easily get outside of a control point in PvP and just hit everyone in the
airstrike, just like I said with the GLs.
Yeah, it's real fun.
I didn't talk about it in my video,
Cammy to
but
meme on the enemy.
in the Crucible, if you have the lightning rod and there are 2 people close together and you headshot one, someone will die, because what happens is it chains off back, then it goes to them, back, and then to them again. It chains a 3rd time. So like if 2 people are together and they're chaining distance, one of them will go down. Like it's really, really good.
It's a one-shot bow. It's what we've all been dreaming of. That and the Monarch with Charged with Light or whatever it is, which is pretty great now too.
Oh yeah, that's always fun.
Out of
So
the
cool
3,
guy.
I gotta go with Wish Ender.
The old Wish Ender.
Wishbender's low key great, man. Sounds cool too. I love the sound of it when you draw it. Ding.
Are you gonna bring the old Trinity Ghoul into Iron Banner? I feel like that would definitely be a win in Iron Banner, where you have a game type where it's 6v6. People are encouraged to, team shot together. People are encouraged to capture zones together. Like, it seems kind of like a winning combo right off the bat.
Oh, I will be.
Until they pull out a Risk Runner.
Yeah.
The crypto.
Oh, there's the counter.
Cammy,
Yeah.
but here's the rub. You know how many
Never
Risk Runners
before.
there are on console? Freaking 0, bro.
I know, yeah. I mean, in my mind, I'm like, I made a whole bunch of console people switch to wrist runner. Okay.
Yeah, good luck.
I'm so scared.
Ride the bull, bro.
Which, by the way, buff universally the stability on SMGs for console. Bungie, please, thanks.
That would be a good idea, yeah.
And the damage while you're at it, because like we talked about before. Yeah, they need help.
We did talk about that. Any other new weapon perks other than Killing Wind that we're feeling good about?
Unrelenting's good too.
Sort of like a Suros Regime Jr. kind of perk there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's cool about that one? So I do know like exactly how that one works, right? It works off of a point system. It needs 4 points. So in PvE, a red bar is worth 1 point, a major's worth 2, an ultra and a boss is worth 3. You need to make 3 points. So that's 3 red bars back to back to back. And like what's so good about the perk is that when you start counting and know when you're getting the health regen, that's when it works well for you. So if you kill a major, you know that the next ad that you kill, you're gonna start getting the health regen. Now the health regen is like a worm husk, like original regen. Like not only are you getting regen, you also get like a huge chunk to health and the regen. It's a very, very strong perk.
Gotcha.
In PvP, it takes 2. So it would be on the second one, which that's where you're going to need it the most, right? If you end up outgunning the second guy, if you're in a situation, you get your health back.
That's not bad, getting it on the second kill. That's really not bad, because if you got it back on the 1 kill in PvP, that would be broken. Like literally a guaranteed health regen every time.
It's an exotic perk.
That's an exotic.
That's an exotic. Yeah, nobody got time for that. But the 2 in a row that seems fair. Is there a long window, do you think?
I could test. I think it's like 5, dude. I think it's almost like a kill clip
seconds.
counter.
Okay.
Like it's fairly in game. I mean, that seems short, but in game, that's an eternity. So
Pairs very well with Killing Wind, because you activate Killing Wind, have Killing Wind up, and basically for the duration of Killing Wind, you can get another kill and then also regen your health in PvP.
That's the future, man. I'm telling you.
It's the future.
It's the future, man.
That's got to be crazy with Worm Husk, because you get your first kill, dodge enough to get the health back to have a similar TTK in a fight, make a hand cannon, take 3.
Yep.
And then if you win that, you're full health.
Wow.
And then by the time you fight again, you have Worm Husk up again.
I was kind of
That's a
hoping,
good
Cammy,
point.
that you would talk to me about maybe a mid-tree Dawnblade build focused around
The healer.
health for days, bro. Maybe you got the double nade going on. You got the that new health regen weapon perk going off. That might be an interesting combo there.
Speaking of Dawn, though, why not bottom tree Dawn with the same kind of thought as Wormhusk? Right?
Oh,
like you
just
go,
true.
The Phoenix
Yeah.
dive
you get a
over and
kill,
over.
you Phoenix dive, go for the next.
Is that
Yeah,
still
not a bad
broken
idea.
on console? Wasn't it? Didn't it used to be that at the lower frame rates, it didn't give you as much of a health buff? Or
That was a
They
long
fixed
while
that.
ago, but
Yeah, they
it was
fixed
like,
that.
yeah,
shows you the last time I played.
it
Phoenix
was
dive.
so broken.
Yeah.
No, it's
Oh, man.
it's surprisingly good now.
To that class not having a slide penalty after Phoenix dive.
I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Because if you Phoenix dive, it will lock you out of sliding for a couple seconds.
You're right. Yep.
And considering the strength of Top Tree Dawn, it doesn't bother me anymore.
Imagine if you could Phoenix dive into slide. Like you Phoenix dive down and then hit the ground, just slide forward immediately. It'd be like the only way to move.
Bungie, are you writing this down?
That's how I get into DMs.
We got a winner with Cool Guys Trinity Ghoul. We gotta write down more ideas from the show. And of course, I feel like if we're talking new weapons, new perks, we have to give a shout out to the guillotine sword, right?
Oh yeah,
It's brutal,
That thing is
dude.
silly.
no,
So brutal.
insane.
Has anyone been using it in PvP? Dare I ask?
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen swords in PvP. I've seen a lot of them.
I've been killed by the delay second swipe. If you guys have noticed that glitch.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that second swipe it does. I literally had someone, go charge at me, do the little, like, master
The
sword
twirl.
or link and then I kill him, and then I land on where he was, and then I get killed by the second invisible swipe. And I was just like, all right.
Can we call it the link up B from now on?
Yeah.
Hit him with the link
up
up B.
B. Yeah.
You tractor cannon him off the stage, and then you hear Zach, and then they make it back on.
He made it back to the ledge. How does that second hit work? So it's like you do the link up B, and that's the first twirling damage zone.
It's not intentional, I don't think.
Yeah,
it's
a
like
bug, right? It
literally
creates,
like
an
a
extra
second
hit zone?
swipe. Yeah, it's like an extra
Yeah.
heavy attack that takes place after you do the heavy attack, like
Yeah.
shortly after.
I think I saw a clip on Twitter in a private match where one person did the link up B and then like waited a full second and then walked into the enemy without doing
And he killed
anything,
him.
and like he just like did a chest bump and the enemy just like vaporized.
Yep.
Now imagine if he L canceled.
We
That's
need
a
more
Smash
Smash Bros
for the
jokes.
Yeah.
If you're laughing right now, you're a man of culture, and we appreciate you. Any other? Is Cool Guy in deep thought right now, or is his camera busted? What's happening?
Oh no.
Cool Guy's so
Did we
zen
lose?
right now. He's like, yes.
Cool guys over here. What if
Smash
Trinity
Bros.
Ghoul? What if Quad
He's
Ghoul?
daydreaming of Trinity Cool. Oh God.
Cool guys internet
Somebody-
betrayed him.
Somebody who's joining us for the live Twitch recording of this show, please give me a screen cap of this. I'd be really appreciative if you just hit me on Twitter with this.
Yeah, he said shut off. There it
Yeah.
goes.
So shut off. By the way, good idea, Cam. Quad Ghoul.
Yeah.
What other weapons we got? There's that new
Hipfire
fusion
grip.
rifle. Oh, hipfire grip. Does
I was
anyone
gonna
have
say
any
hipfire grip
lengthy
left?
experience with hipfire grip? Oh, well, this is
And
bad
he's gone.
because with the 4-camera setup, I do not have an OBS layout to support the 4-camera setup. I'm really afraid of checking how we look right now.
I will let you know.
okay,
watching
we
it
look
on my
terrible.
phone, but
I am now
I'm
Fallout.
still kind of here. I'm still kind of here. It's fine. You know what? For the people listening to the podcast the way it was meant to be listened to, wherever you're downloading fine podcasts these days.
oh, man.
Nobody tell Pope that this happened. That would be fantastic. I'm kidding. Cool Guy has been having some technical difficulties lately. His internet has been shatting the bed, as it were. They've been trying to work on it. We were unsure if he'd be able to partake on the call tonight. We tried to. I mean, he did pretty good. He held out for
Hey,
about an hour.
I know we got to talk about Trinity with him. Like that was the highlight.
Yeah, we got to talk about plenty of things. If he reconnects, great. If he doesn't, we'll carry on. I need to figure out a way. Cammy's taking up 2 squares right now.
So should we just like all move around?
One
Like,
for my
I'm
beard.
moving.
within
I'm
our-
trying to
We're
move.
kind of fine. Drew's going to the left. We need to figure. You know what? I like Cammy where he is. Just the perfect white line in the center of his face.
I'm just like super zoomed in here. I'm still centered, but it's just
Yeah,
like
I'm
right
I'm
up.
pretty zoomed in too. There we go. We have he's Cammy is master of both boxes right now. Okay.
Put on
Note to self: work on the 4-camera overlay in the event that Cool Guy's internet dukes the bed again. Good to know.
I'm ready to talk about skill-based matchmaking.
The devil horns. Do you have anything else for Hipfire Grip, Drew? Anyone else here for Hipfire Grip? Because I know it got a buff. I haven't been doing a lot of last wording, but I've heard that the last word is maybe a little bit more fire now from the buff.
Yeah, it feels pretty good. On as far as last word, I don't know. A lot of people that I've seen a lot of people say that it's like crazy insane now. I don't know. I can't help but feel that it's too much different. I feel like it's more consistent in the air, and it's more consistent at landing hits at range. However, it has an incredible damage penalty at range, anyways. So it's, I don't know, hitting shots at range doesn't really, I don't know. I guess that's nice, but doesn't seem to make too big of a difference to me.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see it, like, again, allow you to hit more shots regularly at range. I actually tried it with Bad Juju a little bit. That felt pretty cool. It felt, again, pretty on point, like a lot more consistent. Seems like shots were registering a lot more consistently. It allowed me to have times where I did just hip fire into maybe a shotgun swap or shotgun cleanup and go hip fire. Even from the air, it felt relatively consistent. So yeah, so I think that's been a successful buff, and I've been enjoying it a lot.
Good to hear. Anyone else? I'm not really much of a hip fire guy, but still.
Cam, you're a hip fire guy. How's that last word
I'm
on
a
mouse
big
and
hip
keyboard?
fire
Now?
guy. So
I heard that last word on mouse and keyboard's a lot better, but have you tried it?
I'm definitely noticing some extra consistency for sure. But my biggest thing is I usually sync my sensitivity when playing other games to my Destiny hipfire. So when I take a short break and come back to Destiny, it's usually hipfire for the first couple hours just because it eases me into it again. And yeah, last word, Tommy's feel fantastic. And I don't have too many weapons with the hipfire perk, unfortunately. I'm going to try to acquire more of them.
Any weapons in particular that you think hip fire grip would be a good, like a match made in heaven for?
I want to try it with more auto rifles.
It's not a bad idea.
I've recommended a lot on sidearms, man. Sidearms already have pretty good hipfire accuracy.
Yes. A sidearm would be great.
Yeah.
Like a hipfire Drang, that would probably be something I'd want.
Mm-hmm.
I like it on pulses.
Really?
I really like the thought of it because pulses, other than what is it, the cool denial, I think it's called, because they all have that generally higher zoom level. I really like just hip firing it sometimes against hand cannons in that close mid range, where if I were to ADS, it would just feel awkward.
So the Fool's Remedy, I just looked at this now that you mention it, Merc. That's the Iron Banner sidearm. It gets both Iron Gaze and hipfire.
Well, there you go. It's gonna be a lot of aim assist.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah,
Not
that's actually
freaking
pretty
bad,
wild.
I'll tell you that much
Not
right
gonna
now. Do we have any armor mods on the table that we're feeling strongly about? I know we got a couple new armor mods in Season 11. Not a ton.
We all charge him with light out here?
I just now started. I actually didn't know it worked in PvP until I think Drewsky, maybe you made a video about it. It was someone in this podcast made a video about it, I think. And I was like, oh, what? Okay, 2 stacks of Rampage for picking up an Orbital Light? Yeah, I'll use that.
Yeah, I tested it immediately and then went into comp 0 to 5500 just to try it out. I was like, how consistent is this? Does this make a difference?
Yeah, Cammy sparked the thought for me. And after Cammy started playing with it, I started realizing, so I was playing around a lot with my Mida multi-tool. I'm just such a fan of the weapon, even though it's not so great. I try and make it work. And I was like, with the seasonal mods, I'm like, dude, I have all these extra mod slots. I'm like, what am I supposed to put on? And then Cam started tinkering with the Charge with Light stuff. I'm like, well, I got the slots anyways. Let's start fooling around with this. And I was like, damn, like this is the new Charge with Light mods make this actually work pretty well.
The tipping point was my teammates already run Powerful Friends. So I'm like, just take something off. A lot of times they don't even have to take something off. They just have free points sitting around.
Right. That's what mine was. It was like, why wouldn't I run it? I have the available slots. So
let me be a catalyst and I charge them, you know?
Part of what makes it so available is that on the current season artifact, a lot of the beneficial armor perks are focused on, like, you know, auto rifles, which are pretty hot right now. So if I feel like I want to roll into PvP with an auto rifle, I can do double unflinching or something like that. Or maybe, is it unflinching?
it is.
I think it's unflinching rifle and enhanced...
Scatter.
Yeah, the scatter projectile. You can put them on your armor for cheap. And because you're putting them on your armor for cheap, you have all this extra room at the end of your armor. You can experiment with a couple of Charged with Light builds. There's not a lot of people who know that Charged with Light actually does work in PvP. It is far more prevalent in Is that the right word? In in
Yes.
PvE, it's very rare in PvP. But when you actually get to pull off a charged with light build, it's very fun. And again, at the minimum, you can put on high energy fire. It's free extra weapon damage until you get a kill. There's no time limit on it. You just get free extra weapon damage for picking up an orb of light. So when I'm playing trials, sometimes, trials, it goes like quickly by rounds, So sometimes if someone pops a super, the
He's back.
round, hey, he's back. Cool. If you pop a super in trials, the round can be over. So it's not often in trials I get to take advantage of it. But there are rounds that go beyond, 1 or 2 super uses. And when you get that charged with light, you can really notice the difference. It really feels cash money. And I think now if you're using an auto rifle especially, you can get those artifact mods for cheap. And you have extra room on your armor, experiment with charged with light. You might have fun.
Can I talk about my 2 true joys that I have with it really quickly?
Yeah, go for it.
Do tell.
Ariana's Vow does 197 damage with first glance if it's charged with light, which means it will one-tap almost everyone in PvP right now, which is fantastic. And then Bygones and the other adaptive pulse rifles will 2-burst. So you can get super, super fast, really easy 2-burst with any of those guns. So I basically run Bygones and Ariana's Vow. And if I pick up 2 stacks of Charged with Light, I'm pretty much golden for the next 2 engagements I'm going to be in at least.
So here's where I noticed the biggest change in comp, like to the team. So it's an orb drops, or I randomly get it sometimes from a hand cannon kill, which doesn't feel great in PvP to know that someone can get it randomly for just putting in damage. But anyhow, you get charged with light, and then you get the high impact fire or high energy fire. And remember rewind a couple episodes when we were talking about Felwinter's Lie with Vorpal Weapon?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we get the first super. That's usually the first orb of light. And that orb of light to a teammate means high energy fire on a Vorpal Shoddy. So if they try to super to come back in the round that they have to come back in, they're now dealing with Vorpal Charged Beloved and Vorpal Charged Felwinter, which will destroy them. It'll absolutely one-shot sometimes.
Yeah. And not to shamelessly plug a YouTube video, but I mean, whatever, we all support each other here. I feel like a lot of people have ignored Charged with Light because they think it's like, oh, you know what, this is too confusing. I don't want to get into it. It's like, don't want to have to take the time to learn it. Don't want to do it. Don't understand it. It's more accessible than you think. I tried to put out a really easy YouTube video on how to basically understand the concept of Charged with Light. It is absolutely a game changer for PvE. For PvP, it can give you that little extra juice in certain situations. You'll be like, I'm really glad I tweaked my armor build a little bit more because I won that situation with high energy fire. I might not have won that situation before. It looks scary at the surface if you're not fully aware of Charged with Light. Do a little digging. You'll be surprised with what you come up with. It can be very effective.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I always knew of it, but it felt not worth it enough because what really made me more engaged in this other than cam experimenting was the fact that previously powerful friends stacked. So any free slots I had on armor, especially arc armor, I'm like, okay, powerful friends, min-max, get a ton of mobility in addition to my recovery and my resilience. But with that free slot there, I was like, okay, what am I going to put there? A mod that I've really loved that's actually an older one is Quick Charge. That gives you, it's the equivalent to an enhanced dexterity mod for your shotgun or fusion. So on a quick draw shotgun, that means effectively it can now, the dexterity mods function independently of quick draw. So you can actually have a faster swap time. It's by a few frames, albeit, but a faster swap time than someone with quick draw even. So to me, that was like, all right, that's just logically the thing I'm going to put there. But then I started thinking, all right, I'm going to have other spare slots now. So if I'm going to get shotgun double kills, which is a very real possibility, might as well get a damage boost. So it just felt like the most consistent thing. And then I learned about the newer mods and started using those as well.
Yeah. Again, definitely a topic worth investigating on your own. I know they can seem intimidating, but you can definitely find builds that you can enhance your playstyle. Even like sometimes a lot, sometimes a little bit. Still very fun. At this time, I really wanted to move on to another topic that we were thinking of talking about on the show today, but our one co-host, Cool Guy, who specifically said in the pre-show that he had stuff to say on the subject of matchmaking, skill-based matchmaking and connection-based matchmaking, his internet is not a fan of connection-based matchmaking. He's no longer here. I think we should maybe table that discussion for another time when Cool Guy's connection is better and stronger.
Agreed.
We can have a more fleshed out discussion of connection-based matchmaking and skill-based matchmaking. But the good news is that with that topic temporarily off the table, we have more time to focus on community questions, which we usually blow through pretty quickly. You guys want to move on to some community questions? Have some discussions?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Beautiful. And quick shout out to everyone on Twitter who followed up with some great community questions today, albeit on late notice. Thank you very much for those questions, which we will go through right now. Here's one from, here we go, Greybush, great name. Any thoughts of how the Hawkmoon will change and still keep the personality and the identity of the gun without luck in the chamber? Follow-up question, with how you perceive the gun to work, how do you believe it will play within the PvP meta? That's a kind of a big question there.
It is.
If anyone, while you guys think, I'll paint a little backstory here. For those of you who might not know, it was confirmed maybe about a week ago to the day that Hawkmoon will be returning in the future of Destiny 2. But people were kind of up in arms about the Luck in the Chamber perk because me in particular, I don't like having RNG in a even semi-competitive environment in any way, shape, or form. It just adds too much uncertainty. I want to lose to a player because they outperformed me, not because they got a magic lucky dice roll and hit me with a super magic bullet. So they're taking away Luck in the Chamber, but they're adding, I believe they mentioned that they're adding another form of RNG, some fashion.
Yeah.
So what
They
do we
said they're
think?
maintaining the RNG. They
Yeah,
said there's going to
some
be
degree.
some random element because they said that that's part of the identity of the weapon.
Sure. So what could that RNG be tied to if not weapon damage?
Okay, I solved it. Make a perk called Make Your Own Luck. Every 7th bullet is extra hard hitter.
Every 7th bullet?
So it's like a weird final round, middle
Correct.
of the magazine.
13
type
bullets.
thing.
Yep, middle of the magazine. You can dump it if you want to. If you reload, it remembers.
So it does. They did say that it's not going to be tied to damage though. So there will be RNG, but not tied to damage. So my prediction was instead of 3 high damage shots, 3 opening shots on like cranked up, like opening shot time is 1,000.
Now
That's
that would be
my-
really cool.
That's what I
Maybe.
think. It's going to be higher range, higher accuracy, higher aim assist, whatever, all those, that whole trifecta, that opening shot effect. I think it's just going to be 3 bullets that are like opening shot, except like exotic level opening shot.
I
think-
respect that. That would be a cool idea. Yeah, I think we've all been in this moment in PvP. We got a hand cannon. We're trying to finish off an enemy who's weak. They're running away, possibly behind cover, possibly around a corner. And you're desperately, they're out of your ideal range. They're like mid-range or further, but you're pegging them with those shots as they run away because you want to try to kill them or hurt them as badly as they can for another teammate to finish off. Imagine they're running away, desperately trying to tag damage. Boom! All of a sudden, magic super ultra bullet comes out of the Hawkmoon. Epic range, no damage drop off, full damage. That guy drops like a freaking rock. I
That's
like
my
thinking
bet.
about that.
That's my bet.
Okay.
I think maybe they'll do 3 bullets in the chamber, like mark an enemy or something like that. So if
That'd
you
be
hit them
cool.
with a marking bullet, it
Mark an enemy.
does the foe tracer effect or the one-eyed mask effect and puts a little crosshair over them.
It's not
That's
a bad
kinda
idea.
cool.
What if they
Good
did
ideas,
one tied not to damage but health regeneration? Like kind of like you sort of like tagging an enemy, but magic bullet if you hit them. Not even on a kill, by the way. Like you just hit them, 10% chance you get a little extra chunk of health back while you're shooting someone.
If they didn't do that right, that'd be super frustrating to play against. To see an enemy in the middle of a gunfight just randomly get a half a
chunk of
health
health,
bar
yeah.
back, like, that'd be super frustrating to play against. From my
It depends on what the RNG is tied to. That will directly make the gun viable or not. I mean, we have the Dados of the world who will probably use the gun because they simply love the gun and how, they have a personal connection with the weapon. But a lot of people may ditch the weapon completely if the RNG is tied to something lame. Like, oh man, there's a 10% chance that you'll get a slightly faster reload speed. Like, oh, cool. Yeah.
Ultimately, I just don't like the way Luck in the Chamber made me play in D1. It was every time on the second bullet, if I don't hear the sound, I'm out.
Yep, pretty much. A lot of people intentionally doing a lot of mag bleeding, specifically trying to rig the deck to make sure that your next engagement you are prepared with that extra damage.
I had 6 bullet hand cannons, 4 bullet hand cannons, you name it.
Oh god, people intentionally trying to acquire hand cannons. My brother got one. I think we've mentioned this before. What was that hand cannon from D1? The Future War Cult one, I think it was.
The Chance?
I can't remember what it was called, but
oh, the Fulcrum. You're talking about the Fulcrum.
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a 6-shooter with final and lucky.
Final round and luck in the chamber, and you could get the mag down to like 5 or 4 bullets or something.
Yeah.
Absurdly ridiculous concept that should never be a thing ever.
It basically guaranteed you 2 taps, which is what it really did, right? Like you're pretty much guaranteed a 2 tap.
And I think that was the moment in D1 where I was like, I can't remember at what point in the game that was, but from that point on forever, I was like, weapon reforging needs to be a thing. I need a better roll because my brother has this BS hand cannon that can 2-tap people with a 4-mag clip. He's got 2 extra damage bullet luck perks. That's like total garbage. Let me reforge my weapon to get a good roll. I don't want to go down this rant again, but I never want to lose to a player because of RNG or some kind of, or because they
I'm
have
the same way. I don't necessarily even want to win because of RNG.
Right.
That's how I felt with the Charge of Light earlier when I was mentioning that.
So I'm going to disagree. I really loved Luck in the Chamber a ton. It was like one of my favorite perks in D1 just because it was like such an enjoyable thing to proc. But I will say this, not in trials, right? It was not at all fun in a high stakes environment to have that RNG because then you were frustrated when it didn't happen and you were frustrated when it happened to someone else and killed you. Did not like it there, but I spent a lot of my time in Rift, and Rift is already like a cheeseball game mode to begin with, right? And it's not high stakes. So I loved little perks like that. And this is something that I wish they had done with like Luna's Howl, right? But like I wish that the perk had specified like in competitive playlist acts this way, right?
Gotcha.
Or like Luck in the Chamber would be like in casual playlist does this. Like I wish they would separate perks because they already have perks that like against combatants does this and does nothing against guardians. I wish they would do that for like this perk is only active in trials, right? Or like this perk is only active in Iron Banner or something, right? Like I would love to see that.
Merc, that is maybe the most unique idea I've heard in a while. I am totally on board with that idea. That's a very cool idea because I think, there's definitely a difference between like a more high stakes competitive PvP mode and just like goofing off and, quick play or whatever, right? I like that idea. We're going to move on to a new question. Here we go. Sean O'Connor wants to know, is Air Assault the worst weapon perk in D2? If not, what is?
No, we don't have Guerrilla Fighter, so I think it's pretty close.
I used to walk around aim down sights.
Yeah.
What was Guerrilla Fighter?
It was the one that if you crouched behind something and used cover to shoot over, you got like bonus stability when shooting.
But you could leave the cover while aiming down sights and keep the damage resistance.
I'm going to blow the minds of maybe at least a dozen people listening to this podcast right now. Did you know that in Destiny there is a cover system? I'm not pulling your leg, bro. There is a cover system. In Gears of War, for those of you who played or whatever other FPS or third-person shooter games that have cover system, you go to a piece of cover, you crouch. So you're crouching behind it. It has to be small. It has to be exactly the right height. It can't be too big. It can't be too small. Piece of cover the exact right height. You crouch behind it. Hit the aim down sight button without touching your crouch button, and watch what happens. You pop up. It is the most underused feature in all of Destiny. You just blew my mind with the Gorilla. I totally forgot that perk was a thing. That's probably historically the worst perk in all of
That's
Destiny.
the Hawk Moon perk.
That's a bad one. Does anyone specifically have a gun that has air assault on it that they like?
I have one,
The
but I don't like
silence is
it.
deafening.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of the old air assault. Maybe one of the perks I use the least in D2. Also, admittedly, hip fire grip. I'm an oddball here. I know a lot of people here love hip firing. I almost never hip fire, but that's not me saying it's bad. That's me just not playing that way. I should probably work more on, because I know there's potential to be had with hip firing weapons, especially guns that were designed to do that, like the Last Word. But yeah. Any other votes for doo perks in D2?
I'm gonna say it.
Say it.
Might
Brian.
outlaw. Might outlaw.
Mida outlaw.
But that's a pairing, right? That's outlaw specifically on Mida.
Yeah.
That's true.
Fair. All right. New question from Varlares. I think I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but do you think trace rifles should return to primary ammo? Ariana's Vow pulls off being a beefed up primary with special ammo quite well, but trace rifles are rare to see.
I think they're rare to see because they still have ammo economy issues a little bit with no scavenger ability to run them. I mean, I think Wave Splitter is quite good when used well. It certainly seems like it melts when I use it, but you run out of ammo very quickly, and then you get seemingly minimal amounts of ammo back, considering how many shots it takes to kill every time you pick up a brick, which is a little bit frustrating. I think if they were to use primary ammo, they would be at their current level. I think they would probably be a little oppressive. So if you want to take the damage down a notch and switch them to primary, sure. Or if you even want to give them a little bit of a damage buff and keep them in special. But I think at this current level that they're at, if you were to give them primary ammo, I don't know if that'd be fun.
So I've thought about this, and I've answered this one on stream in depth on how to maybe make trace rifles more fun. It's improving the lethality or improving the utility, and then giving it an if clause. I would say, for example, if Cold Heart starts from a full magazine and you maintain the trace, their mobility is reduced to 0 as long as you maintain the trace. So it's adding something on top of it, but not necessarily making it more lethal. Prometheus lens, you could say just burn ticks like Thorn or something, etc. You can go down the list of all of them.
It's not a bad idea either.
I do think that they need something a tiny bit more, and maybe that's related to ammo economy, really. But from what I've seen, someone that is very good with one of those, it's pretty crazy. Like, they melt. Like, Prometheus lens, as an example, really does kill very quickly at some ridiculous ranges in the hands of someone that is competent with it. So I want to say that as special weapons, they are in a good place, but maybe it's the ammo economy, or maybe some of them need just a tiny little bit something more. What I miss about Prometheus lens in PvP when it was a primary weapon is you could actually, when you get a kill, it would like refund ammo or like load ammo from the reserves. And the beam, obviously with Prometheus lens, the longer you hold fire with that beam, the larger its area of effect gets. And it gets to a point where it's like massive, like insanely big, like hilariously massive. I remember back in year 1, I had a clip where I outgunned 2 people and I just held down the beam, killed another guy that popped up around the corner because I was just aiming there, and then I just randomly whipped across the map and kept jumping and burned another guy to death. And this was while it was the primary weapon. It was hilarious, but you don't get to do that anymore. So I don't know, maybe something can be done to rework some of these and their perks, or give them a bit more ammo, because I miss that kind of hilariousness. It was so funny.
Fair thoughts. It's definitely an underused weapon type. I think it needs love in some fashion. I don't really know what that fashion would be, but yeah.
Yep.
We kind of touched on this already, but we'll, very quick touch on it again. Thomas Walsh, favorite charged with light mods for PvP specifically? Is there really any other ads? Like, mine are just kind of taking charge. Is that the one where you pick up an orbital light and then the high
Yep.
energy fire? Those are kind of like
Yeah.
that's like the bread and butter for PvP for me.
Yeah.
For me, it's the quick charge, like I said, charge harvester, and high energy fire.
Fair.
I like powerful friends because you can always make that call to slow it down. Just might as well charge.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Classic.
Besides the mobility, it's already good.
Fair enough. Thoughts on sunsetting armor from John Kalinowski?
Mm,
I
frustrating.
feel like I've talked a lot, but I can take it.
Go for it, buddy.
I don't like this one because a lot of people draw the line at armor, but the reason is usually because they want something to grind for. So why is it armor that line is drawn at? Because I'm trying to understand. It's like you want something to grind for, so they say armor, and now you have something to grind for. Is it too much?
I think, Cam, it's because there's 6 individual stats and so many numbers that those stats can come out as, and it's like, if I get your point, and I'm like I agree with you, but I do believe that it's perhaps it's perceived that armor, getting that perfect armor piece is more difficult maybe than getting the perfect weapon. I don't think it's actually that far off personally, but it could be perceived that way.
Yeah, I'm just really consistent with I just like both the weapons and the armor getting sunset. It's not one or the other to me. I still have to reacquire my build from scratch.
No.
I don't like it's so difficult and time consuming and expensive to masterwork armor. And to me, it's like, oh man, like I just put so much materials into masterworking this piece. And now I've just got to go find another piece with a similar stat roll to swap out to then masterwork again. And it's like,
I talked about it earlier. The raid gear has been the game changer for me because you just run your raid for that season that you know you're going to have it for the entire next year. And then for the rest of the year, raid gear is your only gear. It's just a much simpler system to have a consistent build.
Yeah.
I do think that it's worth mentioning that they've brought some surprises with the redacted engrams, which are now the umbral engrams, to allow us to focus armor. Apparently, from what I've heard, it's not as significant as people would like it to be. So if they can perfect that system, hopefully it won't be as painful.
they clarified numerically. Focus just means you're guaranteed at least 10 of the stat that you focus.
Yeah,
So it doesn't. It's not super high.
Yeah, I think that it needs to. I think that system's the right idea. That whole umbral engram, like I can really stand by sunsetting a lot more with some of the ideas that were brought forward this season, but I still don't think it's at a good enough place to be like, okay, I'm totally fine with sunsetting. I think the ideas are there, the framework's really there, but it needs to be improved upon.
So you think we're close? We think we have
We're
some
getting there.
kind of
Yeah.
framework.
I mean,
we got
Christ,
blueprints
we're
for
getting there.
a world where we'd be
We've
comfortable
gone
with
through.
sunsetting.
Yeah.
They have to
Yeah.
elaborate on those ideas that they've laid forth.
Yeah, we had Menagerie, right? And then we had Obelisks. And, you know, we've had back-to-back-to-back seasons where they've shown themselves to be capable of giving us a better grind, and a grind that is enjoyable and leads to a chase and that doesn't, you know, burn the players out necessarily, which is good. However, because they keep cycling them in and out, I question when we're going to get like a core version of that, right? Like it's always been focused on the season kind of. It's like I would like a core version of that for, you know, my Crucible weapons, if that is something that ever comes back, or like my Vanguard weapons or the World Drop weapons, not just a specific subset of 5. Although this season is by far, you know, the biggest pool of weapons that we've had that you can do that with. But, you know, I would like that for more than just that season specific focus.
Ultimately, I just want to log on and always make forward progress towards my builds and not just feel like I'm stuck in a rut just waiting for the slot machine to spit out the right item.
Right. Yeah, I would agree.
Like I said, I think that we are like, you know, you guys know, like I was one of the most dissatisfied people that speak about sunsetting, but I have to acknowledge that there are systems in place and changes in place. This is a prelude to next season, I guess, that make this a lot better. Like I don't think that we're quite there yet, but I do think that it's the right ideas are there. Things from farming the dungeon, like being able to repeat the dungeon to get the weapons you want, the rolls you want. Awesome. That is so cool. If that's a preview of what endgame PvE is going to continue to look like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, like that.
Looking good.
That's dope. And I think that the Umbral engrams is another thing that, you know, I think the idea is there. I'd like to see more relevant weapons as a part of that. I'd like to see a little bit more better specific focusing, especially on the armor, and they be a little more kind with us on how do we obtain the material that it takes to focus. But again, the idea is there, and it looks like it's taking it from a more perceivably painful grind to like a, hey, I'm always making progress, and I don't mind that.
Well put, Drew. Well put. Great community questions overall. Thank you again very much for submitting them on Twitter. We appreciate it a lot. I feel, again, we could probably do an entire episode where we do nothing but community questions. We should have to do that. We should definitely do that at some point in the future.
That sounds fun.
We could really get into the weeds with those questions. But again, thank you for submitting them. I think that's about all the time we have for today. But great one, guys. We had a lot of good discussions. I'm kind of sad that Cool Guy's internet tapped him out unwillingly. Unfortunate. But we'll get him back the next time. We'll have more discussions. There's plenty more.
Yeah. Maybe blessing in disguise because we'll sleep on SBMM a little bit more.
There you go. Yeah, we'll have maybe that discussion about connection-based or skill-based, as well with other things in Season 11. So before we go, everyone, we're going to go around the table and tell the people at home where they can find you. Cammy.
This is going to be youtube.com/CammyCakesGaming, twitter.com/CammyCakesYT, and twitch.tv/CammyCakes.
Drew, tell them.
You can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/Drewsky's channel, twitch.tv/Drewskys. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Drewsky's channel.
Merc?
Twitter, I'm Mercules904. And then the Destiny Massive Breakdown podcast is pretty much wherever podcasts are sold. So Apple or Spotify or whatever it is that you use to listen to them.
Well done. Cool Guy?
Oh, you can find me at Cool Guy Games on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. Follow me on Twitch, because I want to be a partner.
Definitely follow Cool Guy on Twitch. He's making his partner push. Mm-hmm. He got reset because he changed his display name, I think, from I Am Cool Guy to Cool Guy Games. And they put his application at the bottom of the pile. It ain't right. Follow Cool Guy. I am your host, Fallout Plays. You can find me on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter, all at Fallout Plays. Thank you very much for joining us. Great episode overall. We hope that you'll join us again next time. Take care.
Peace.
Okay, now we're still live on Twitch, but you can cut the audio recording on Audacity. Boom.
Done.
Nailed it. Good work, boys. And while we're here, Twitch, hope y'all can still hear me, we need to pick someone to raid on the Twitch channel. So don't go anywhere, because we're going to raid somebody. We're going to raid somebody right now. So in the Twitch chat, recommend someone who's online. We'll go through the directory right now, see if we can find someone cool. You know, someone who gets it, you know, part of the community that we enjoy.
A lot of people showing up from Mixer.
Found, apparently.
So.
That's right, a lot of people showing up from Mixer. Who do we got? We got a bunch of great people are on tonight. We got Old Man Mikowski. We got EK. Love EK.
I don't know how much time I have.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, cool, he's back. Oh, we just ended the show. We're picking who we're gonna raid right now.
Man, I know.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
The literal worst, dude.
We got Ramblin'. We got a bunch of people. Some people are saying we got Patty Cakes, EK, Ramblin', Dado. Someone make a pick here. Who's gonna make the call? Are we gonna do a vote?
Are we trying to do an ex-Mixer person?
I would like to
I don't
do
know
that
who's
if we
coming
could.
over from Mixer. If someone could recommend
I'm not
a
aware
former
enough.
Mixer.
The one I know of
I'm
is
not aware enough.
We got Tryhard Tristan, Drago Snub. I don't know who that person is, but a lot of them were kind enough to put Mixer, ex-Mixer in their description.
Let's see.
Oh, gotcha.
Mark Stockley.
Aries is voting for someone. Dragisnov?
Yeah, that's one of the Mixer guys.
Let's
Done.
do that. Let's do that one then. Done. Aries is usually in there with those hot recommendations.
On top
Aries,
of things.
make it happen, kid. Thank you for joining us. And everyone from the Twitch chat, when you get over there, spam emotes and do that whole bullshit that we're all known for. So spread the kindness. Be a good person over there. Get to know somebody new. And say hi from all of us. And thank you for watching. And we'll catch you back 2 Wednesdays from now. And catch the regular DCP show back on their bullshit on Thursday like normal. And take care.
Peace.
Take care.